In this video, I'll be showing you how to make the letter W using a rubber band loom. So I'm going to be using a rainbow loom, but you can use any brand that has the pins in a straight row. And since I'm only going to be using one row of pins, I've removed the other two. But if you have a loom where the pins don't come off, that's okay. And you will be needing a total of 20 rubber bands in order to make the W. And for every band that I place on, I'm going to double it. So I just place it on my hook, twist, and put it back on in order to double the band. I'm going to be starting on the end here with the arrows facing away from me. And it's just going to go to that next pin up. And I'll be placing the length of 12 rubber bands going up the loom. They're always just going to go to that next pin up, and they're all going to be doubled. And also, as I'm putting them on the loom, I want to push them down to the bottom so that way I have room to add more. So if you're working with a rainbow loom, the length of 12 rubber bands is going to take you to the very end of the row. And I prefer to use my hook as I'm stretching these bands out and doubling them. Some people like to just do it on their fingers, and that's fine too. Almost at the end here. And now I'm going to go back to the start, and I'm going to place the length of 6 more rubber bands on the loom. I'll just start on the end here. We're actually going to have to take this off and attach it to the end, the other end, when we're done here. So it actually doesn't matter where you do these bands, but I'm going to just start on the end so it's easier to show. So that's my 4th one. Need to do 2 more. And now I want to place a cap band on this pin where I just left off, and I want the band to be quadrupled. So in order to do this, I just place it on my hook, twist and put it back on, twist, put it back on, twist and put it back on. So you'll see 4 bands on your hook. I'm going to put it right on the top here. And if you feel like you're just really struggling to get that on because your bands are too tight, you can just triple that. So now I'm going to turn my loom around, and I'm going to loop this top layer. So I'm going to reach my hook down through this top 4 cap bands, push back on them. I want to grab the next 2 bands. I'm not doing anything to this very bottom layer. Just pulling them out and moving them ahead. And now I'm just going to work my way up, just looping this top layer of bands. Going all the way to the top here. And now what I want to do is I want to take this completely off of the loom, because as I said earlier, I'm going to have to attach it to the other end. So I'm going to reach my hook down through the top here, and I'm going to pull this off. So now I have this loose piece connected on my hook, and I'm going to go all the way down to the end here with the arrows still facing towards me, and I'm going to place this on the end pin. There's going to be 4 rubber bands on your hook. You want to make sure that all 4 of those bands make it on that pin. And now I am going to angle this up and to the right. And what I want to happen is I want this next loop, if you pull this out, you can see this next loop here. I'm going to stick my hook down through the middle of it. I want this to come on the pin above. So I'm just going to use my hook and get it on there. It's a little bit tricky, but this is going to keep the W tight where it connects so that it's not all stretched apart and too wide. So now this is going to be the right arm of the W. And now I want to loop 3 bands going up the loom. So starting on the end here, I'm pushing back on all of the top bands, grabbing the bottom 2, and moving up. So as I said, I'm doing the length of 3 rubber bands. And now I'm going to place my thumb on top of this pin where I just stopped looping, because I don't want the bands to come off there, but I do want them to come off the ones I already just looped. And now what I'm going to do is swing this around to the left. I'm going to do that same thing I did earlier. I want the band that was below here to come up here, so I'm going to stretch this out till I see that loop. And if you want, you can use your hook to put it down through the loop, and then you can help this on. And now I want to loop 3 more rubber bands, so starting on the end here, pushing back on these upper bands, grabbing the bottom 2. And then this next pin is kind of full, but you're just going down through and grabbing the bottom 2. We're going the length of 3 rubber bands here. And now I'm going to place my thumb over top of this pin. Again, I want these bottom 3 bands that I just looped to come off. And now I am going to bring this, I have one band caught here, bring this out to the right. And now what I need to do is, again, take the band that is right above the one that's on my pin, stretch it out so you can see that loop. I'm going to put my hook down through, and I'm going to move this up to the pin above. And now I can finish looping here, so I'm starting on the end, pushing back on the upper bands. Just going to be moving those bottom 2 rubber bands forward. Going to go all the way to the top here. And now you want to take your hook and put it down through the middle and push it out to the side. Going to take my last rubber band and pull it up through, and then place it back on my hook, and I can carefully remove this. And now I want the loop that is closest to the end of my hook to pull through the other one. And I'm going to pull this tightly to make a slip knot. And then here is my W. So you may have to adjust the bands a little bit. You want them to be sort of straight, angled a little bit, but in line, nice and even on the sides. And then here is my letter. And here is another W that I made using purple. So this one's a little bit tricky. It's the same concept as the M. Hopefully everyone was able to follow along. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook. Post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page. And please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of my latest tutorials. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to subscribe to those as well. Thanks for watching!